So, Dr. Katie,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us. We would love to learn more about you and for you to introduce yourself to us.
Okay. I am the Chief Veterinary Officer here at Santa Barbara Humane, and I've been here for almost 7 years now. Really excited to be a part of this program. I was working and living down in Los Angeles for 15 years, so to come up to this beautiful location and to be able to help so many animals in this community has been pretty remarkable.
When was the time maybe when you said to yourself, I know I want to be a vet?
I think when I was little, when I was young, I really, really loved animals. I really loved being with dogs and connecting with them. I thought that was pretty amazing. And then I did spend a little time when I was about 10 years old at a veterinary office, and sick dogs came in, and I got really upset. And I said, maybe this isn't for me. So I took a pause and went away from that for some time. And then when I was doing my undergrad at UC Santa Barbara, I was in this amazing class that just was a lot about anatomy and the animal. And I was just so amazed by the body and how it all worked that I realized that my love of animals and my love of science could really be combined in the field. So it was a long trip coming around to it.
How did the opportunity present itself to come and work for Santa Barbara Humane? What was the story of how you arrived here?
I did go to my undergrad in Santa Barbara, so I've always really loved Santa Barbara. And my sister came out and lived with me my last year, and then she never left. So I've been able to visit a lot throughout my time in Los Angeles. And I was excited to come live up here next to her. And when the job opening came available, I was very excited to come up here, and I met our current CEO, and she was very, very convincing that I was going to be able to do so much great stuff working with her. So I was really excited to take the job.
We've heard a lot about the impact of just having the vet services for the community. What do you think the biggest impact you can make here is?
I really think that I really believe that everyone deserves to have a pet. Dogs and cats especially just make such a difference in our lives. And the ability to provide an access to veterinary care for people that don't have a lot of money has just been such an incredible thing to be a part of. People that are coming to us, whatever is going on in our life, that they're having a difficult time, being able to help that pet and keep the pet with its people is pretty amazing at the end of the day to get home and feel like you've made that difference for them.
Is every day then the same, or is it always crazy, always different here?
My days are definitely always different. I help oversee 2 different locations and a mobile. So I'm working with my team of, there's 9 veterinarians, and sometimes someone's asking me to give a second opinion on an x-ray. Sometimes they're asking me to jump into a surgery with them. Sometimes I'm talking to clients that might be having some sort of issue that, so that management level is definitely every day is different. And then today a bunch of kittens just arrived, so I'll go and give a little love and visit with some kittens too. So yeah, every day is so different.
Do you see common threads amongst the different cases that come through the vet?
Really, I don't. It's pretty crazy how different things can be. I really love surgery, and a lot of the veterinarians that I've hired on are really love surgery too. So that is something that's really nice that we're able to provide, because when animals need surgery, it's so expensive to go through that. So some of the things that we're really helping with are conditions that could be like $10,000 at an emergency clinic, and we're able to help for under $1,000. And my team just loves it. We have a lot of students that come through, so they get to see stuff that they might not see anywhere else in their training year. So that's a really cool thing that we get to do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And these surgeries that are expensive, I imagine they're quite, advanced or far along in the medical journey for the dog. Is there something you wish you could tell people to be more proactive around dog health that would maybe prevent them getting to that point?
Yeah, well, I think that some of the clients that we see maybe don't know that we're here, or they don't think that they have the finances to be able to come in, so they might wait a little longer than they should when they're seeing some sort of issue, hoping that it resolves, and then taking too long to come to the veterinarian. So hopefully, everyone is so in tune with most of their dogs and cats because they're living with them and they're sleeping with them and they're with them all the time. They know when something's not right. So trying to seek out that help earlier if they notice something's wrong.
The CEO, she talks a lot about being reactive to, I guess, health in general.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's important for our dogs to, I guess, maybe have a more human, or to, how can I say it? Should we approach maybe our dog's nutrition the way that we approach our own to some degree?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people have started to do that in general. I think that there's so much stuff that's out on the market. It can be a little bit overwhelming, and trying to figure out what to do. Everyone wants the best thing for their pet because they want it to live as long as possible. So I think there's a lot of confusion around all of that also, where to go and how to get that support, which I can understand is difficult. Veterinarians aren't necessarily trained in a lot of the products out there, and when new stuff's coming out all the time, it can be difficult to know where to get that information. But I know I feed my dog human grade food, and I feel so lucky that I'm able to afford those kind of things to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can to have her live as long as possible.
It's something that we for sure hear and see a lot, is that there are so many different supplements on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And we said this to you the first time we spoke.
Yeah.
This was our mission, was to try and really, I guess, cut out the noise a little bit, and to the filler as well to some degree.
Yeah.
When we saw you walking in this morning with your green juice, your smoothie,
Yeah.
We were like, okay, Dr. Katie gets it.
She does it herself.
Yeah, she does it herself. She's like us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, since we've been talking and hearing more about your product, I think that it is interesting how it is that additive. It's not to take away from anything. And I think that that aspect of it is really intriguing, that, we all eat our 3 meals a day and take our multivitamins, but we're always trying to supplement with our superfoods and whatever else that we can put into the drink to hide the flavor of something potentially.
That was exactly the philosophy. We wanted to try and fill the diet gap for the dogs. So no matter, I guess, what diet they were having, whether it was kibble, canned food, frozen, like fresh frozen food, that was basically our objective. As you say, it's just, you don't have to change your dog's diet. You can just, this could be the new golden standard. You can just add extra, because you're never going to do any harm by giving your dog more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and if you were potentially trying to get all those different things into the diet, it might end up being a lot more calories than a dog
Exactly.
would need.
And even, I mean, this is what we laughed about this morning.
Yeah.
Every day you tell me that your husband has to eat he has to have his black pepper and his turmeric, obviously to release the good nutrients that are in his diet, or maybe in the green juice that you also force him to drink in the morning.
Yes.
That's something, I mean, that was, believe it or not, those were some of the first things we asked our nutritionists about when we formulated, because Chris and I also do that every day. Mm-hmm. Ginger, turmeric, and also, ginger is a big part of it too. Mm-hmm. And it works the same way for dogs.
Yeah.
With the release of those nutrients.
Yeah, that's something I was, I guess, surprised by when we started on this journey a couple of years ago, is how similar a dog's cellular system is to a human cellular system, mm-hmm. and how they essentially need to be treated the same.
Yeah.
Did you study human anatomy when you were in college?
My physiology class was human based. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are there any parallels that you can see from what you learned, I guess, in the human space and now you see with dogs as a vet?
I mean, I don't think that my one class was very detailed on a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that's similar.
Yeah.
And we all wish that our dogs could have the same lifespan as us, for sure.
Yeah, there's more and more research. Chris and I have been reading a lot about it recently, into longevity in particularly, and not just trying to have the longest life possible, because sure, you can have a dog, maybe they make it to 18, but they've suffered for the last 4 to 6 years of their life. It's really about that quality of life.
And the health span matching the lifespan.
Exactly, the health span. This for us was a huge part of the mission, because I mean, certainly I was lucky enough to have 2 of my retrievers out of the 3 live fairly good lives, but I could tell you for the last probably 9, even maybe 9 months to a year, it wasn't the quality of life that they've had previously. Mm-hmm. So I guess how can we help pet owners increase the health span and not just the lifespan?
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Do you have people coming in asking about longevity, or how do I make my dog live longer, or how do I make my dog the healthiest it can be?
I mean, people are always wanting to do whatever is best, and I really appreciate that the majority of the clients that are coming in are really looking to us for that knowledge of should we spay and neuter at this age, or should we wait till longer? And I think in general, just some of the studies that we have are difficult on any sort of the question that we get. It can be hard to know exactly what to do in so many different situations, but it's certainly easy to tell them, taking like exercise and good diet and not too much, and all of those things are really easy to make sure that they're doing.
We were talking with Paige earlier about senior dogs and how you guys get a lot of senior dogs coming in. How does an owner have to look after the health of a senior dog?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that we're worried about as dogs age is arthritis, because that mobility can really affect them. So that's one of the biggest things that most people are worried about. Depending on the breed, sometimes certain things happening that we can find on like blood work and things like that. But for the most part, it's really that arthritis that's the biggest problem as dogs age, if there's not another medical problem.
And how does that present? Because something that we're very conscious of and that we read in some studies is when your dog starts to present health issues, it's too late because the internal work or the internal damage has been done. What can we do to spot those signs early and make sure that we're looking after them in the best way?
Well, certainly larger breed dogs have more trouble because of they're bigger, and being overweight is a huge part of it. So we're always trying to talk to people as early as possible about what they're doing and how much and extra treats and all of that, because all of that extra weight really causes those issues. So doing that preventative stuff is really helpful. And then in general, if they're already coming to us for arthritis or some lameness, we're using a multi-pronged approach with glucosamine, chondroitin. The fatty acids are really, really important with arthritis, the weight loss, the low impact exercise. All of those things really tie together.
I think that's a very common theme that we hear as well when we speak with dog owners, that the mobility and joint health is one of the main areas. We also hear quite a lot about allergies. Mm-hmm. Is that something that comes into the clinic?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a really big issue. I think, our top 2 breeds right now are French Bulldogs and Labradors are still up there, and both of them have a lot of skin problems. Yeah. So just always trying to make sure that we're doing well with flea control first and foremost, but the fatty acids, really good fatty acids, are really important with skin health also, and many other nutrients.
Yeah, that's one thing. It's a lot of feedback that we had. It's very, very interesting with time actually, and we seem to get consistent feedback depending on time frame about when things are working. So what we had after, I think it was about 6 weeks, was chewing paws was stopping.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was from, we had it was very, very bizarre, and it seems to be, we know who the first people who got their hands on the product were. And after that time, we had 3 or 4 messages within the space of like 2 days saying, we've noticed paws, like the corgi, one of the corgis was chewing less paws, and then another person said it, and then another one, and we were like, oh my goodness. So it's really what we've put in here. We started to notice after certain markers. I think consistency with nutrition is something that's really, really important, because it's not, hey, you can start this today and then tomorrow it's going to be better.
Yeah. And I mean, do you guys have a thought? Is it one particular thing, or do you think it's just all of these ingredients together?
I think, well, certainly the way that we designed it, there are around 20 like individual benefits that you could pinpoint, whether it's cognitive function, eyesight, things like itching paws, general skin and coat. When we formulated, the request was, can we have something that covers whole body health for the dog? And that's every single function. And I remember the way that the nutritionist looked at us. He was like, you want to put all of that in here? And I said, yes, I want to put all of that in here. So this wasn't an overnight, let's just make a bag of powder. This was, let's keep an oil because of the absorption levels are going to be better for these nutrients and not powderize them. All of that took 24 different attempts to formulate. So it's a long process.
Yeah.
But yeah, consistency is for sure the one thing. And it's hard to maybe say, every dog's different. So maybe one active ingredient is going to be more effective on, let's say, a German Shepherd. We know for sure, as you mentioned, the glucosamine inclusion, if you have a German Shepherd, that's going to be something that if you give every single day over the life, the back legs are probably going to look better for a dog like that.
Yeah, and just the oil in general, we know affects so many different things. Like even in kidney disease, one of the things they suggest are really good fish oils. So it's funny how important all those things are.
Yeah, we made sure the oil was in there with vitamin E as well to make sure that it's absorbed correctly. And then the tocopherols to make sure that it, again, gets absorbed correctly, because there's vitamin E in there as well. But that's a really key ingredient to the mix. And it is why we kept it separate to the powder as well.
And you can actually put these into a powdered, or you could have them, a claim certainly that it's powdered and in the bag, but the actual method of absorption is not even close to as effective. And for us, it's a lot of cost. But and it's a discussion we had many times. Is, oh well, if you substitute this ingredient, it'd probably be cheaper for you. And we go, I don't even want to hear about the price until we finished making the right formulation. Then we'll talk about what it costs and how we move from there. So for us, and you can see it in the packaging, you can see it in the quality of the shaker, sure, but the quality of the actual product itself is what was of paramount importance. That had to be top of the line.
We were just talking about some of the problems that dogs have, and we cover mobility and allergies. There's some very distinct ones that come up when we speak with dog owners, and I think the most common thing that I hear is about digestive health. Tell us more about dogs that come in with digestive issues into the clinic.
We have not only just dogs that come into the clinic, we have a lot of digestive issues with shelter animals too. A lot can just be stress related, but diet change, or just thinking about my sister's golden retriever that gets into whatever out on this walk, there's so many different things depending on the dog, what can upset their stomach. Many dogs can only eat the same thing every day and only get very specific treats, or they can have vomiting, diarrhea, really severe forms of GI disease. Pancreatitis can be really bad, and that can be just getting into different things and stuff like that. But the gut health, depending on the animal, when they're coming in, we're always really concentrating on probiotics and bland food and kind of getting them through that if it's nothing that we can pinpoint with a parasite or something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's something interesting you just said there. If there's nothing you can pinpoint.
Yeah.
This is maybe going to be a long-winded question, but a lot of dogs kind of just don't seem to have a lot of vitality. And we know that's not normal. What do you look at when a dog is just a little bit down and doesn't have a lot of energy, but doesn't have any clearly presenting medical issues?
Well, we're trying to get as thorough a history as possible, and that includes diet and other supplements that they're giving, all those sort of things, trying to run down all of those questions to figure out what is going on. It can be very frustrating for both us and the owner.
And the dog.
Do you see a bit of improvement generally once you improve the nutrition? I mean, I'm sure some cases when the dog comes in, you can see that it hasn't been eating properly. It must be very visible.
Yeah.
And do you just know by adding that, like a complete diet, that things are going to go much, much better from there?
Yeah, I mean, really depending on what's going on. There's some people that just don't realize some of the things that they need or should be doing, or how much, or what. So yeah, I'm running that down. I think that we're lucky where we're at, that there is so much available versus like exotic animals. You can really struggle with some of the nutrition with them, but I think it's really easy to get animals back on track, or dogs back on track really quickly with an appropriate diet, if that is the main issue.
It doesn't have to be that difficult either.
No. But diets, that can be really confusing too. We were having, for a while, some diets that were deficient in nutrients that was causing heart problems with dogs. So, people were potentially spending a ton of money on a special diet that they wanted for their animal. Again, they want them to live a long time. They want them to do well. And I know the creators of that food also wanted the same thing too. And it just was one of those things that we figured out over time, that we needed to make sure that this ingredient was in the dog food. And yeah.
Was this the grain-free diets?
Yeah. Which there is grain-free diets out there that dogs can do well on. It's just one of those things that was not a fun thing to have to figure out.
I bet it must have been very difficult. I mean, because owners trusted that the kibble they were giving their dogs was a complete diet and did have everything good inside it, but I guess these ones hadn't been fully clinically tested.
Yeah, I mean, I think for someone like me, it's just crazy to think of that people can exist for so long on very unbalanced diets and can live for a long time without any issues. But dogs, we know right away when there's any sort of issue or deficiency that's can be pretty problematic pretty quickly.
Do you see a lot of mistrusts from people that have had bad experiences and that when they come to you for advice?
Yeah, anything around the diet can be a little bit of a point that is tricky with people. If we have a concern about something that they're feeding, we have to be very delicate with it, because they're feeding that because they trust it and believe in it. So just trying to make sure that we can get on the same page before potentially that they're dismissive of what we're saying.
Can you tell the difference, or do you have some stories around what some of those examples are of doing all the right things versus being unsure and not doing the right things?
I think the people that are unsure sometimes are the people that are really willing to hear what you have to say, because they don't know or they haven't been guided. And that's really nice to be able to use your knowledge and help them. I think that sometimes it depends on where other people are getting their advice, whether they want to hear what you're saying or not. So that's a little tricky.
Do you have examples of, or does any case come to mind of someone who has come in and didn't, or had a lot of questions and you maybe impacted their dog's health?
I've had dogs come in before that were not doing well, and the diet that they were feeding was uncooked food that the animal was getting sick from. It just was not reputable where they were getting it, and there can be a lot of bad bacteria in some of those uncooked foods. So the dog was doing very poorly, and it took time to convince them that there was a better way to do it, and the dog was able to turn around with that, which was really nice. But yeah, it's difficult.
It must be really rewarding.
Yeah, it is, especially because at the end of it, when the dog is doing very well, there is that trust that's been built.
Would you think it's fair to say that a lot of problems which arise, especially later on in a dog's life, could be prevented from just having a richer nutrition from day one?
I would hope. I mean, that'd be nice if it could always be that way. Sometimes we're just battling the genetics of a breed, no matter what somebody potentially tries to do. But I think that it certainly is a good thing to seek that out, right? If we have a choice between McDonald's and a healthy salad with some good protein and things like that, you have to realize that one of those is going to be a little bit better for you than the other. So I think that I wish that I wish that nutrition would cure everything and anything. That would be the best part of my job, if I could just tell people to switch to this one thing and their dog was going to have a long, healthy life for the rest. It is lots of different approaches. And I think that, adding in or changing a diet to something that is a higher caliber definitely makes a lot of a difference when they're not getting a good diet, and especially when you have lots of other approaches that you're going about a healthy life.
You mentioned genetics. Something I found fascinating is epigenetics. Have you seen any work done around epigenetics of dogs?
I haven't.
You haven't?
Is there any out there? Do you know?
It's starting to be studied more.
Okay.
How different aspects of a lot of it's diet focused, but how different variables can impact the epigenetics of a dog, because that can be changed. Epigenetics are not set in stone. Over time, you can really improve that, and that kind of battles, or it doesn't take away from genetics, but it is something that's not set in stone. So it's
we have animals that we have come in here, whether they're transferred in from an area that needs our help, and we see deficiencies in the puppies, and they can have changes because of that, and that was really important when they were growing and trying to battle that part. I imagine it would be interesting to follow those kind of animals out too, and just see the difference from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's something that fascinates us in general. And there's a lot changing in dog health just now. And there's a lot of different approaches and people who are putting, I guess, a lot of investment into diagnostics and understanding a little bit more about how the dog's body operates and how we can optimize as much as possible.
Yeah.
Is there something that you want to see one day in terms of a study?
I know that it can be so hard to do a really specific study, and even nutrition in humans is really hard to study. I think that I'm just excited with any amount of money that's going into potentially helping me help animals live longer, and it's incredible how much we still need to know. I find all the time too, studies are really specific to a breed, and trying to make sure that owners understand that doesn't necessarily transfer to their Yorkie when it's been done on a Rottweiler. Yes, there's a lot of similarities, but because of that genetics, it's so different. So it's hard for me to pick a specific example, but I would think that any study that's really gonna push us really far forward. We used to just feed dogs scraps, and now they have this balanced diet. We know all these different things that they need. So I think we're due for some really big changes. That would be nice.
It feels like we're really on the sort of on the brink of a big change, I think, in the whole industry.
Yeah.
It feels like now more than ever, everyone's starting to take it very seriously. Is that something that you can see from where you are and from how things are now compared to when you started?
Well, we talk about all the time how crazy it is, the changes that have happened with the dogs in our lives, that it was an outside dog, and when I was growing up, and now my dog very much has half of the bed or more. It's so different, right? And so because we're so much more invested in them and vice versa, they're just a part of our lives. I think that all dog owners really want to make sure that that's going as long as possible, and that there's the health component of it too. Not that they're just living till they're 30, that they're vibrant and healthy.
When it comes to supplementation in general, and I guess bridging the diet gap for different kinds of nutrients, is there a sort of go-to that you tend to recommend, or is it very much on an individual basis for each dog?
We have very specific ones that we're recommending based upon the research that's been done and the evidence showing that they're helping the animal. But even with any of the supplements that I recommend to my clients, I always tell them to use a journal, document what's going on, like watch and see the changes that you're seeing, because I think that there's a lot of things out there that might be really great for one dog and then it's not for the other dog. So trying different things and seeing how they really work, and not trying like 10 new things at once, like one thing at a time, and just kind of seeing how it can make that difference.
That's really interesting, tangible advice. What kind of things would you tell someone to journal about and look for in the dog?
Well, I would say if there is something that they're already concerned about, to be documenting that. I think that writing it down is so vital, because you just documenting that time and when you started something and what you were seeing makes such a difference, because a month or two later, you're like, wait, what was going on? Oh, go back and look at a photo or a video. But if they're worried about a lameness, and maybe, let's say, the dog always used to be able to go 3 miles and fine, and then all of a sudden it's not, and they start something new, and then all of a sudden they're back at that 3 miles, and they forget, without making those notes that there was a reason why they got there. And I think that's also important too, because if they're starting something new and it's helping, they want to make sure that they know that it was worth the money and that they should keep doing it.
So I guess going back to being proactive rather than reactive, is that advice that you would give to dog owners when they're choosing their food as well, that you probably should add some sort of supplementation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anything that's not going to be damaging is worth trying. I feel like when I'm recommending something that's not a medication, that I'm always using products that I know have never caused an issue. And so that's really nice that I can say, we could try this medication that I know reduces inflammation or something, or we could try this, and if that works, then that's great. Then we don't have to worry about the liver, the kidney, all these other things. So I love to recommend things that, and a lot of our clients really appreciate that too. They don't want to be giving a medication if they could maybe add a supplement in that's going to make the difference for their animal.
It's great to take a more natural approach to health.
Yeah.
A holistic approach is kind of the way that we tend to view our own health, including our dogs now as well. Mm-hmm. So I think that you're very much aligned with that as well.
Yeah.
So Dr. Katie, thank you so much for spending time with us and for educating us as well. It's been a privilege.
Yeah, thank you. It was great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.